Well, hey there, friends. It is Melanie Mitro, the host of The Melanie Mitro Show. And if you are watching this on YouTube right now, I just want to say you are getting me au naturel today because I have shifted up my weekly schedule, honestly, just this week because I needed some uninterrupted quiet time to really get I call them IPAs, my income producing activities, done before the rest of the day. I've got a lot of meetings and projects that I'm working on that are taking up my afternoon space. And so I've done a little shift where I use that first few hours of the day where my brain is sharp and the house is quiet, the kids are off to school to get some work done. And then I've been kind of breaking up my day with my workout and a shower and then into afternoon meetings. And I don't know that you needed to know all of that, but sometimes I like to give people an inside look, like a behind the scenes of what's going on in my life. What am I shifting and changing in real time? Because maybe you're feeling like everything has to fit in a box and everything has to be rigid week after week after week. Everything has to look the same. And in reality, that is just far from the truth. Every single day, sometimes every single week, is a little different just based off of what's going on. And I guess I felt like you needed a disclaimer as to why I'm not showing up today as polished Melanie. But nevertheless, that isn't even the topic of today's podcast episode. I'm just glad that you're here. And if you are watching this on YouTube, it would help me if you would just give a little like and make sure you're following along on my YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, make sure that you leave me a rating and review because it helps this podcast be found by other people just like you who are looking to grow and scale in the online space. And if you're on Spotify, just make sure that you like the show because, again, it just helps to expand our reach. But no matter how you got here, I'm actually really happy that you're here. I'm happy that we are about to have a conversation about just power moves. We're calling this the end of the month. Actually, I'm not even going to call it end of the month. I just so happen to be recording this at the end of a month. And my team and the clients that I really mentor and guide are focused on what are the moves that we need to make to close the gap and end the month strong. And what I love about my show is that I am in the trenches with you. What I am teaching you is what I'm experiencing. It's what I'm doing in real life. It's also what I'm seeing other people on my team do. And I'll tell you, I have some of the most brilliant women that I get to work with on a daily basis. And they show up with the fire and the energy and bring really good ideas. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. We've got some end of month. We just have some power moves that are really making waves. And I want to teach that to you guys today. So we're going to walk through that. So buckle up or pull over to the side of the road if you're driving, or maybe just listen and then come back and listen a second time because you're going to want to take some notes. This is what is working. So I always find that no matter what business or market I am working either in myself or I have clients that I'm coaching through my private coaching program, I find that there's always this cycle that happens where people run out of their warm market and the initial launch of the business, like that novelty and newness, wears off. And there needs to be this consistent cadence and flow that happens in order for a business to continue to grow past that initial sort of, jump that you get when you launch your business. And there's a few things that happen in that space is it messes with people and their confidence, right? So sometimes when people launch their business and they have a great response, and then there's this peak and then there's this valley, people get in their own way, they get in their own head and they think, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? I'm not meant for success. I can't really do this. There's just like this downward spiral. And we have to have the awareness to say, oh, this is actually a part of business ownership. This is a part of launching something new. And the reality is that people are always going to cheer you on until you ask them to do something. Or people are going to talk a big game. For example, in the wellness space, people are like, I'm ready to change. I need this so bad. But then the minute you tell somebody there's a price to it, they don't want to do it anymore. And that's very normal. And there's a couple of reasons why people don't make the commitment. It could be that they are not really ready to make a change yet. Maybe they don't really believe in what you're doing yet because this is really their first exposure to it. And sometimes people actually don't have the money. So it is more of a financial thing. And so I find that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner that uses the online marketing space, I have to show up consistently over time, sharing my message in a variety of different ways to build the know, like, and trust factor. And that means that no matter what is going on in the world around me, I have to show up. That means that I am, whether it's posting on Instagram, Facebook, it is showing up in my stories, it's sending out emails, it's having private conversations. It is this, no matter what the outcome is, I show up and do the activities because I know that I am planting seeds. And I will tell you that right there, consistency, hardest thing for people to do. Why? Because we have our mindset that gets in the way, the stories we tell ourselves. We let the opinions of other people drive our daily actions. We let what's going on in the world drive how we show up and how we feel, instead of creating a bubble and really protecting our peace and reminding ourselves that just because I have a thought doesn't mean the thought is true and that I should believe it. And again, this is a muscle that I'm constantly strengthening, right? Is to keep that consistency going no matter what's going on around me. So I just find that people, right, they come in, they have this quick success, and then they get deflated because of what I just shared. I also find people that come in and don't have a lot of success right away. That's me, friends. When I started my first business in 2011, I posted on my Facebook page my transformation. I had a physical transformation from day 1 to day 60. And I talked about how inspired I was by my own journey and that I wanted to help other women feel the same way. And I had a flood of comments that came in on that post of people saying, sign me up. I need this. I want to do what you're doing. And guess what happened? Slowly but surely, conversation after conversation, it was the same result. It was a no. It was, I go to the gym, or I take this supplement, or I don't have the money, or I don't work out at home, or whatever it might be. And so I sat there in that moment after thinking, this is going to be great. This business is going to change our family's life. I was like taken from my pedestal, and I was put back down in my place and reminded that even though I had a physical transformation, I needed to show up and prove that I really, really was staying the course, and that this is actually something that people should give me their money to help them with. So it doesn't matter if you have a slow start or a fast start. Nevertheless, right, I eventually started to gain some momentum, and that momentum started to double down as I stayed consistent and my business really began to thrive. But it's like, I need people to get over that 6 to 9 month hump, and then things really start to pick up. If you're consistent, if you're constantly improving your message as you go. Does that make sense? Now, we've set the stage with that. Now let's talk about these power moves and this strategy that really helps. So here we are, it's the end of the month, there's about a week left, and what I notice is that a lot of times there becomes some frantic energy at the end of the month. And one of the things that I work really hard with the team members and the clients that I coach is that we are building an offensive strategy, not a defensive strategy. Now, I will tell you, the reality is that when you're building the foundation, those first 6 to 9 months, there are times when it does come down to the end of the month and it feels a little bit like a hustle and a grind. Okay. That's the reality of it. When you're getting your legs underneath of you, that sometimes just is how it is. My second reason why sometimes it happens is when there is life events that go on. For example, everything that has happened in the world in September has just very much so impacted business, especially people that really do operate in the online space. And so nobody could have predicted that. And so it did shift everybody to a little bit more of a month end push. And that is going to happen, whether it's around the holidays, whether it is just other months of the year where life events sort of happen. I do try to work really hard to get people on the offense, and that's a good thing, because there are going to be times and there are going to be months where you're going to have a little bit more of a defensive strategy, and there's no way around it. But what we can do is we can always be very mindful, right, of certain power moves. So one of my power moves with my team that I implement is, okay, if we have 30 days in the calendar month, if we know that we want to, let's say the first month we hit our sales goal and it takes us all 30 days to get to our sales goal. What I'm going to challenge my team members to do is in the next month, I'm going to say, we're not going to hit our sales goal in 30 days. Can we hit our sales goals in between the 25 and 28 day mark? And so I'm moving that deadline up so it doesn't always become an end of month hustle. Does that make sense? And so then we take, okay, how many days do you want to hit your goal? 25 days. All right, let's divide, right, the number of whether it's the dollar amount you want to make in commissions or it is the volume that you want to earn or the team members you want to enroll. And I always divide that by the number of days that we have, 25 days. And that gives me a daily average of what I should be producing. And so that helps somebody to pace themselves every single week. And it takes the goal from being a mystery and it just makes it a math problem. If I want to have $5,000 in sales, I can divide that by 25 days in the month. And then I can even say, all right, I'm going to do it in 3 weeks, or I can divide, $5,000 in sales divided by 3 weeks. And that's going to give me my average for what I should be doing per week. Great. How am I going to get there? What am I marketing for? We're going to talk a little bit about what are some of the strategies that are working right now that are helping people to market effectively. Okay. So really, I want you to begin to think, all right, if it's taking me all month to hit my goals, how can next month I move it up so that I don't have that last 24 hours where I'm hustling my face off? And I want to plant this seed right now, because in October, what is the last day of the month? Halloween. If you have young children, that's the last thing you want to be do. If you are a family that goes trick-or-treating, you don't want to be worried about closing those last few sales. Or if you like to go to Halloween parties, right? Or if you are not into those things, you don't want to be that person that's sitting there on Halloween while everybody else is out doing things and you're trying to make sales, right? So we want to avoid that. If you look into December, what happens on the last day of December? We have New Year's Eve. We don't want to be waiting until the last day of the month. So can we get out of that cadence of last day of the month, just frantic energy, and into more of a, I'm moving my sales goal up so that maybe it's the 25th, then it becomes the 20th, then it becomes the 18th, then it becomes the 15th. And then if you can start to stack the front end of your business with sales, what will ultimately happen is it gives you the second half of the month to be creative. That might mean you're adding in a business opportunity event, or you're doing another sort of event or party or giveaway, or maybe you're at a point where you just want to work with your team and your customers. And so that opens up creative space for you to do all of those things. And it feels more abundant and it's a much better flow. I hope that that's resonating with you. I hope that's a big light bulb moment, but that is just really how I operate. So personally, here I am. I achieved my personal sales goals for the month. I did that on Sunday. So the 21st was when I looked at my numbers, and there I was exactly where I needed to be for my minimums. And now I'm just working on that next level. So let's go into strategy. So one of the things that I look at when I'm really trying to say, like, what are my power moves? The first power move is I always look at, what does my company have to offer for current and existing customers? So in my company, for example, we have a loyalty program. I know everybody has, they call it different things. Most people do have them, some sort of perks for having orders on an auto ship. And so one of the things that I did, because our June, July, and August were really significant, is I just went back to starting in July, actually. And I started messaging every single person that had placed an order with a message, with a customized message that basically said, hey, I want to let you know, right, you ordered this product and that product, and you should be getting low. You might need to restock, or maybe you're interested in trying some other new products. Can I help you place an order? Can I help you put together a cart? I also want to let you know about a loyalty program that we have where you can, and then you insert the benefits. where you can earn free points towards free full-sized products with any purchase of $100 or more. And anytime you have a $150 order, you get free shipping. And then I have a little video. I'm like, here's the video that explains our loyalty program and how to set up a loyalty order. And so what I did was I reached out to each person individually with what they ordered and asking them if I can help them set up their order and the little video of how to set up, your loyalty. I also went into my VIP chat. So a VIP chat, just think of it as anybody that orders, they have a space where they can ask questions, where I can share insights. And so this is just like where we do our day-to-day kind of back and forth talking products and whatnot. Okay. I dropped that in there. I said, hey guys, for many of you, you're probably coming to the end of your first order. And I don't know if you know about our loyalty program, but here's a short little video that shows what to do and how to do it. Watch this video, comment done, once you watch it. Now that's introducing all the people that are in my chat to our loyalty program. I will tell you that just by doing that action, I had so many people that were like, I've been watching you talk about this product, or I'm interested in this product. And I've been helping get people their orders. So often, people forget about their existing customer base. And it's wild to me because that is, and I don't like to say it's low-hanging fruit, but it's a lot less work for you to really meet your existing customers where they are and to replenish their orders than it is to acquire a new customer. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not out there finding new customers. I am, and we're going to talk about that next. But I always say we have a simultaneous strategy going on here. It's who we currently have, and it's the people that we want to have, right? So it's that next wave of bringing people in. So I wanted to share that with you. That's a really good one. That is something you can do that can help you either end the month or start the month. And I just schedule that into my calendar. So wherever that fits, whether it's a Friday, I always do a touch base on Friday, or a Monday, or I do all of it just once a month. That really works well. The second thing that is working amazing has been to run. We're actually getting ready to run, and people love groups. And right now in society, I just find that people are really struggling with connection and community, and in a very positive and empowering way. And so I have a dear, dear friend and a leader of mine who is incredible. And she always thinks of just these really fabulous ideas. And so we were doing a leadership planning call, and she was sharing her framework for running these groups. And the framework is really simple. It is choose a theme. It is write out your description of what the theme is, create some accompanying bundles that go with it. So that might be, and what I really think is powerful, and we do this through all the things that we market, is there's always a good, better, and best option. There's always like a basic bundle, then there's also a middle of the road, and then there's kind of the works, right? So we always have our bundles, and we always make graphics that show the price and the products and the bundle. And so you want to do that. So you have your theme, your name, your title of the group. You have your good, better, best options for bundles for people to work with you. And then what you do is you know what the start date is going to be for your group. So give it 7 to 14 days. So for us, for me specifically, it is started to market the group on a Sunday, end marketing on a Saturday, kick off the group on Monday. It's okay if not everybody has their products, because it's not that kind of a group where it's essential. We can start and people can get their boxes whenever they arrive, right? So that's kind of number one. So just you can follow that framework. So title, bundles, start date, market for 7 days. Got it? Then you determine what's my mode of delivery. Facebook group, WhatsApp chat, Messenger pod, text messaging. That's just a couple of my suggestions or ideas for you. And so you decide, where am I going to do this? What works best for me? Where do I thrive? Where do I go? Ugh, I don't want to run a group there. And then decide, is it going to be a 10-day group, 14 days, 21 days? In my case, I made it 3 weeks. And so I really said, okay, right now, what do I feel that I can serve people the best? What is most aligned with me and aligns to my core values? So I watched my friend and my business leader, right, share her theme. And then I basically said, I'm going to take that framework and I'm going to adopt it for me. And all I did was create a Google document where I put all my details. And then if you're somebody that lacks creativity, where I sit down and I just start to think of ideas of what I can post and what I can put in stories, you can take it over to ChatGPT. Tell it what you're going to do, tell it what your theme is. It can help you create a marketing plan. But I sat down and I did this last Friday and I mapped out what I'm going to post in stories every day, the polls that I'm going to use, the post ideas. I sort of had the framework of the post idea, what emails I was going to send, what things I was going to put in my group. And I basically created myself a 7-day framework for what I was going to do every single day to get more people into this group. And that, my friends, is this framework. And we're all going to start on the same day. So we're all going to start on the 29th. And it's really creating this momentum, this focused energy on one specific product, group, event. That is important. So if right now you're feeling like you're floundering and you're just randomly sharing products, decide on a theme, decide on a group or a chat or whatever it is. Like pick that method of delivery. Say for the next 7 days, I'm going to just focus on that. And then everything you do, from the messages you send to the invites to the follow-ups to the content on social to your stories, is circled around that. That is working beautifully right now and is really helping people to cultivate a community. And we all know when we're a part of a community, we feel seen and heard, we're going to show back up, and we're going to show up for ourselves. And we're also going to show up because we know others are counting on us as well. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about events. I've been doing events for a very long time, whether it's been webinars or business opportunities in my old business, whether it was selling webinars and workshops in my last consulting company, or it's today doing workshops and opportunity events in this new space. They still work. But there's some important things that you need to make sure that you are doing. That is, you've got to be sensitive to people's time. I really find that right now, people are not willing to even watch an hour-long replay. And my team, and myself included, tend to be long-winded. So we have really challenged ourselves to cut down any events that we do to 30 to 35 minutes. And we typically float like 35, almost 40 minutes in time. But your time, that's really important. I find that people are more likely to watch a replay when it's not a 45 or 60-minute replay. And what I'm learning is that people really love when there is a 3-part strategy to an online event. The first part is there needs to be education, some sort of education that really locks people into why these products are going to make a difference in their life. Like, what is the science behind the products? Why do they work? How do they work? Second thing is there needs to be testimonials. So testimonials of people who have used the products, who have gotten results, and even people that were maybe skeptical of the actual program or of the products, and how their skepticism was turned into big support, right? And that they're now the biggest cheerleaders for some of these products. And it wraps into that how they use the products, and then it ends with a simple good, better, best options to work together. And what we do is, so it's really got to be the science and the education, testimonials, and then the last part of it is the giveaways, right? So it's like the giveaways are really paired with the bundle options. So really getting people with that urgency to purchase. So saying you have to purchase before a certain time in order to get entered into the drawing to get one of our giveaway items. That has been so, so powerful. And we've washed and rinsed and repeated and refined that entire model for running events over the past 11 months. And we basically have it down to a science. And now we can really see our conversion rate go through the roof during those events, because not only we're teaching people to invite for a week leading up to the event, but we're then teaching them what is the post-event follow-up strategy. Rock the replay for 24 hours, then do your follow-ups for the next 3 to 4 days, lock people in, and then you celebrate and move on to the next thing in your business. So those are really important, right? Really, really important. And now that we've created some of these workshops and we've done this flow multiple times, we're really starting to see that the consistency is compounding with other people as well. Okay. Last but not least, I will say one of my team members, and I'll share this as my final one. She came up with a great idea. She said, I decided that I was going to reward my current customers. And so she chose a 48-hour window where she basically emailed all of the customers that she had and personally reached out to them and said, hey, I'm doing a customer appreciation event. For the next 48 hours, anybody that places an order of $75 or more is going to get a free gift. Is there anything that you need to replenish, you would like to try, or that I can, help to answer any questions about? And then she said, here is your free gift option. And she gave them 3 low-cost options to her. And then she was able to go in and add it to people's carts, and then they could check out with their orders. So, or if that's not something that you have access to be able to do, then you could just ship that person the gift once you see their $75 order placed. That spurred a lot of conversation, helped to get her to her sales goal, and really helped to create some cushion and padding in her month. So friends, these are some great suggestions. And I hope that as you're listening to these today, you are reminded that your business is a beautiful blessing, and that sometimes we have to think outside of the box. And sometimes there are months where we have to double down. And there are just times where we have to be a little extra creative. But here's the thing. People do want what you have to offer. Sometimes it's just about packaging it a little bit differently, showing up with a new energy, and that's going to help you create some new momentum. So friends, I want you to pick one of these strategies, decide which one that you're going to go all in with, then send me a private message on Instagram. But also, I would love it if you would screenshot today's episode, tag me at Melanie Mitro, tell me what your biggest takeaway was, because here's the thing. I love connecting with you. I love hearing from you. I love knowing that you're listening every week. And if you feel like this episode was powerful, share it with somebody in your organization that needs a little extra just push in their business right now to think outside of the box. So friends, thank you so much for listening in to the Melanie Mitro Show. It was a pleasure to serve you, and I am grateful that you chose this podcast to listen to. And I will see you back here next week for another episode.